One big song can change your career. Luckily with Hatebreed, we've had big songs on the last 3-4 records, because if we didn't have an Ashes They Shall Reap, or Everyone Bleeds Now, or Honor Never Dies, or like Looking Down the Barrel of Today, or Something's Off on this new record, we would probably be forgotten about. You gotta have big songs every record. I don't want this dream or the agreement to break. Can't justify greed at the cost of equality. Like with this record, The Concrete Confessional is not all about me, which is not only is that a relief, but it's also like liberating when you're writing. Okay, well, I can write about all this stuff that's happening. I could write about Belgium. I could write about Paris and the attacks. I could write about the police brutality. There's so much stuff I could write about that still will fit within kind of that Hatebreed universe. But it's not aimless negativity. It's like, I feel like this record is like a compass, and it's also like a live set in a way. So like it might point you in a new direction or spark a new thought, but it could also just be like a live set where, you know, you go to the gym or you're on your way to work and you're listening to it, and it's sequenced like that. It's got a big opener, a real strong closer, everything in between is different. You know, nobody can say, that's the best part about this Hatebreed records, nobody can say this record sounds like other records, because we've done everything different, down to the tempos, to the tuning, to the vocal approach, to the writing, but it's still, the identity is there, which is probably why we're seeing the resurgence. Well, in the 80s when I grew up, it was like Reagan years and stuff, and so I knew even then as a kid that based on my family history, our genetics, and our economic standing in the community, I was like, man, there might not be a way out. Once I got to be about 13, 14 years old, I was living with my father, my uncle, one who has cerebral palsy, another who had a really bad drug problem, who's now not with us anymore. So, and then me and my brother sharing bunk beds with my father. So like, and when you're in, you know, people think of Connecticut, they think of Yale, they think of all this money, but we're in New Haven, Connecticut, which is, you know, middle class and lower. So it's funny, I look back now and I think, to me it was just normal to be, you know, to hear domestic violence next door, to constantly hear gunshots, sirens, you know, seeing homeless people. And my father was in the Vietnam War, so I had to deal with the effects of PTSD and all this stuff. And so now you have 2-3 generations of people who America's almost like forgotten in a way. Like it was really bad for Vietnam vets. I saw that with my father, but now it's even worse. So you got guys who came back from, you know, the Gulf War with Gulf War syndrome. You have PTSD. You have all this red tape with the VA, and so I just don't get where there's all this like nationalistic USA. Well, you can't even take care of your own vets. You got homeless people everywhere. You got kids that are hungry, especially in the South, like when you go to Alabama, Mississippi. So I'm like, look, I love America just as much as everybody, but let's be realistic. Let's point out some of the issues and let's work to try to solve them, you know. And for me, how do I do that as a rocker touring in the world and making money? When I go back, I put my money into the community. You know, donate to vets' causes, donate to kids, you know, hunger causes, things like that. And that's all you can do. The only way you have an effect is with your voice, with your dollar, or with your vote. And so since we're coming up on an election year, I wanted the record to be topical for what's happening now, because every Hatebreed record is a snapshot of the times. Today, I wish a motherfucker would try to see this fucked up world through my eyes. I was messing around trying to do Kirk's scratch vocals on the first Kingdom of Sorrow record, so I was trying to sound like Kirk, and then Zeus was like, that sounds good, just leave it. You'll sing that part. And so as I got more comfortable and could hit the notes and kind of be in key, if you listen to that first Kingdom record, I'm flat and I'm sharp. That's kind of how I grew up listening to records. You listen to James on Ride the Lightning, or you listen to Danzig on the first Danzig. There's little pitchy areas, but that's the character. That's what's great about it. It's not like all this auto-tuned crap that you hear coming out now, where it's all a computer. You know, you used to hear little variances and little things in the voice, and so I wanted that. I wanted to like do something for this record that it's a break from the constant barrage of screaming. And it's only on 2 songs, but those 2 songs are getting a huge response, so it was a good choice. Oh yeah, that we played that last night. People are murdering each other, and I'm like, I wrote that like 2 years ago. I lost it on a hard drive. And And I kept telling Wayne and Chris, like, yo, I have a song all done on my hard drive. As soon as I find it, it's like, because I demoed it out. And the engineer kid who plays in Hot Toxic Holocaust, Nicky, he's like, you got to make this a Hatebreed song. This is going to be big. And I was like, oh, really? It's just a demo. Like, it was just a demo I was working on. And sure enough, when I got my hard drive fixed, it was on there. And I showed these guys, and they're like, oh, yeah, that's got to go on the record. So occasionally you get a break and you have a creative minute and people want to smash people to it. And there you go.